I don't know what Bible you guys are reading. Beginning with Elder Apostle Har on down, we've been accused of not sticking to the formula,
Mm.
you know, by individuals that learned from us. But as we're looking at all these false breakdowns and teachings that are coming out, I believe they're the ones that's not sticking to the formula. I'd like to start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rchakudash. Welcome to another live lesson. As you heard the title, I don't know what Bible these guys are reading. I'm joined with the Elder Kanak.
Shalom.
And pretty much, last night before I went to bed, I was reading through Daniel 7, and I ran across this one precept in there that we've read many, many times, but it just shined the light even more on the coming kingdom, Yahushai's kingdom. And it's proof. You can start at Daniel 7, and unless you got something.
No, I got 7.
Oh, you know what? No, look up the word formula.
Okay, yeah, I still have it here.
Yeah. And it proves that, like I said, we read it many times, but sometimes certain parts of the scriptures, when they're isolated, it brings more clarity, to the breakdown of it. And we're gonna get to it. But before we do that, I had the elder look up the word formula. So he's going to read the definition of the word formula.
Yeah, this is the word formula. I typed this in on Google, and it's going to give me some definitions. All right. And it reads, a mathematical relationship or rule expressed in symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, a list of ingredients for or constitutes of something.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, a method, statement, or procedure for achieving something.
There you go.
Especially reconciling different aims or positions. Number 4, a fixed form of words, especially one used in particular context or as a conventional usage.
Right. So pretty much it's a formula. It's like a list of ingredients or, a particular, solution or a particular, as they call it, antidote, that you put together, to be able to, that formula is supposed to be followed over and over again.
Yeah, like you have different herbal medicine formulas where you have to take 5 herbs and you have to put them in particular dosages, each herb, and it's fixed. Okay, 1 milliliter of this, 2 milliliters of that, 5 milliliters of this, in order for that to be the perfect formula or going to the accordant ingredients,
So pretty much it's like a recipe, and a recipe.
Oh, that's a similar word. A recipe.
There you go.
Preparation, concoction. Fixed form of words,
Right.
to shape, to mold.
So go to 2 Timothy 3, I believe it's 14. Because there's a certain formula that was given to us by our elders that we given to you brothers, that you're supposed to follow, but we got accused of not following that formula. But I guess as we can see now, the other individuals are the ones that are not following the formula because they're deviating from what they were taught.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like when you bake, when you're baking cakes or pastries, there's a particular recipe or a formula.
Mm-hmm.
And if the formula calls for, or the recipe calls for 1 cup of milk, you can't put 2 cups of milk and expect it to come out the way that you want it to come out. It's going to come out completely different from the person who made the recipe or the formula, intended that particular pastry or cake or whatever it may be to look like and taste, right? So the same thing with the scripture. There's a particular formula and recipe that you must adhere to in order for it to be sound food or sound medicine or sound doctrine.
Perfect.
2 Timothy 3 and 14. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of.
Right, so the Apostle Paul told Timothy, but continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and has been assured of. Go ahead.
Knowing of whom thou hast learned them.
Right, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. Can you look up that word continue? So it says, continue thou in the things which thou hast learned. So there's a particular formula that was given to us, and we took that formula and gave it to you. Now there were certain little tweaks here and there that that were off on the first formula, but for the most part, we still stuck to the formula. The only thing that really changed, like really changed, was so a little tweaking in the book of Revelation, and the whole Cornelius thing. But even in that, Cornelius being an Israelite, which was taught, he was an Edomite back at the main school. Even back then, the truth of him being an Israelite kept popping up over and over again, but it wasn't time for it to come out.
That word there is meno, to remain, abide, in reference to place.
Yep, to remain, abide, in reference to place, meaning you were given a formula, you're supposed to stick to the formula.
Not to depart.
Not to depart. So the Apostle Paul told Timothy, don't depart from what you learned, but know who you learned it from. You see? So you can't just take somebody's formula, especially something as important and as sacred as this truth, and just, because you have a problem with the individuals that taught you, you're just gonna strip part of the recipe and add your bullshit to the recipe. Hey, what Yahushua said, if you take a new piece of cloth and put it on an old garment,
Yep.
to make the rent.
Yeah, the formula has been perfected. Sound, right? It was that same formula that woke these guys up, and brought them into the truth. And now, several years later, not even that long, now they believe that they can go and they can tweak it, and say, no, what you were teaching is wrong. Okay.
Yeah, no, well, go ahead.
Yep. It says
It was something else that came to mind, but then
to continue to be present.
To continue to be present with the same doctrine. That's why the Apostle Paul kept mentioning to be careful, because the time is going to come when some are not going to endure the sound doctrine.
It says to be held, kept continually, to continue to be, not to perish, to last, endure.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
All right, so let's go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. Because Daniel chapter 7, verse 9 is a vision that the Lord gave to Daniel of all of the major empires that will rule from that point until now. And then right after that would be Yahushua's kingdom. So go ahead. Oh, and this is what would be known as dispensationalism. Because that Edomite, was it this week? Early this week.
Early this week.
I didn't catch that part, but he said, "Are you guys dispensationalists?" And I didn't catch that part. But I said, no, we believe that America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction according to biblical prophecy. So in essence, what I said to him was pretty much, yeah, we are. But I didn't realize what he had said.
Yeah, there's certain tenets of dispensationalism that that's part of the doctrine. Like believing that there's going to be an actual physical kingdom down here on the earth, where the Israelites are going to reign. That's dispensationalism. But other things they go off. Right. But by our conduct and our speech, he heard what we were saying and he asked that question.
Right, because some like a dispensational, there's other stuff they teach us BS, but like one of the things that they hold is that the prophecies were dispensed in different time periods. Like the prophecies were fulfilled in different time periods. Different from a preterist. A preterist is someone that believes that all of the prophecies have already been fulfilled. But a dispensationalist believes that the prophecies will be fulfilled in different times. You know what I mean? So outside of that, we don't hold, anything else that they believe in, but the prophecies have been dispensed in different time periods, and the proof of that is Daniel the 7th chapter. When he's, because if the case was that, as the preterists teach, that we're in that all the prophecies been fulfilled, we would be in the kingdom.
Yep.
Where's Yahweh Shai at?
Yeah, what about Isaiah 60? Isaiah 61, you know, which is a future prophecy of us being in the kingdom and the other nations being under us.
Yep.
Okay. As well as Habakkuk says that the vision is yet for a appointed time. Dispensations, different parts of time,
That's it.
where the prophecy will be fulfilled.
Matter of fact, go to Hebrews 11:1. You know, because you know these people, they get locked into a particular zone or a particular, you know, belief of theirs, and then you know everything has to be, you know, everything with Esau has to be categorized. You know, he's not a spiritual man, so he has to put everything in carnal logic.
Yeah, that's how his mind works.
Yeah.
The carnal man. This is Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of
I'm
things.
sorry, not 11:1, 1:1.
1:1.
My,
Okay.
my bad.
Yeah.
Hebrews 1:1.
Hebrews 1:1, it says, the Most High, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets.
Right. So the Most High, who at sundry times, and pretty much in different times, earlier times, in different ways, spoke to our fathers by the prophets. You know, and there were prophecies that were fulfilled. You know, during some of the prophecies were fulfilled during the lifetime of the prophet, and some of them were not fulfilled till later. That's what the Lord told him. You know, matter of fact, go to Daniel 12:13. You know, so there were certain things that were fulfilled during the time of the prophet, some things that were fulfilled later, and then some prophets didn't even see any of the prophecies fulfilled during their time.
This is Daniel 12:13. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days.
Right. So the Lord told him, read it again.
Daniel 12:13. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days.
Right, because you know you would come back again, because you would have to interpret those visions that I showed you from the beginning, and now you would have to, you know, actually break them down in these times, because you're not going to get the prophets to have the visions, and then some bugged out ninja is going to be the one to break it down.
Yeah.
You know,
A scholar, a so-called scholar in
Lord.
this world. The scriptures speak about the prophets. They don't speak about the scholar.
right?
You know, we was going into the lesson the other day how the Lord, he despised this wisdom, you know, and set up the things that are base to confound the things that are
Wise.
here in
Yep.
this world.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right. You know what? Go unless you got something.
No, that was it. On
Go
that.
to Hebrews 11 now. Hebrews 11, and you could just jump down to the last two verses in there. You know, and that's why the Lord told Daniel he would sit. You know, he would be in his lot in the last days, and we're in the last days now. So the prophecies happen in different time periods, and even the disciples before they became apostles understood that. That's why they asked the Lord, will thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And they asked him, when shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the age? Because there were different ages for these different kingdoms to rule.
Eon. Yeah, different eons, meaning different periods of time for a nation to rule. But then also you have to consider the time that a nation will fall. And we're in that dispensation right now where Esau is getting ready to be taken down, and Jacob's getting ready to rise. All right, but there's a great struggle right before that climactic event. Jacob's trouble and Yahweh Shai coming back.
That's it.
Esau, there's a struggle. He wants to stay in power. Who wants to go out of power?
Yep.
You know, so we understand that, you know, he's sending individuals, he's paying individuals off to try to deceive and disrupt
Yep.
this great awakening that's happening, but it's to no avail. It's really futile, but this is the way the Most High set it up.
Yeah,
You know?
that's right. It's a climactic event before the climactic event. Inside joke. The climactic, okay, when you see the ships, okay, that's you know, inside joke with High Priest Lahab, but this was titled back then.
This is Hebrews 11:39. And these all, having obtained a good report through faith, receive not the promise.
Right, that's dealing with prophets. Go ahead.
The Most High having provided some better thing for us.
Right, but he had provided something better for us. Go ahead.
It says that they without should
Without
not be,
us.
I'm sorry, it says that they without us should not be made perfect.
Right, that they without us should not be made perfect, because the Apostle Paul understood that the prophets were back, you know, and he understood he was one of those prophets from the past, because Yahushua revealed it to him. Now, I doubt that Yahushua told him exactly who he was, you know, but I'm sure that, you know, in the discourse, Yahushua told him he was one of those ancient prophets, you know. So they, meaning the prophets without us, could not be made perfect, because back then they had the visions, but they didn't understand the vision. Then they came back later to interpret those visions. Okay, and that's where we're at now. So these are different dispensations of times, or as the scriptures call it, the age. Or
Yep, that was it on that.
okay, so let's go to Daniel 7,
Yep.
and unless you got something.
No, Daniel. There was
If you got something, bring it out.
God.
You know, because, you know, like I said, I just wanted to touch on the kingdom of Yahushua, because you have individuals like the Bishop Nathaniel. I'm not even going to say the IUIC. They're just following whatever he says. You know, he teaches that after we're in the kingdom for 1,000 years, that Esau is going to get, you know, the upper hand, and he's going to take us back down, and then we're going to suffer under his hand for another 1,000 years or some crazy shit like that, you know, until we can finally get, you know, the kingdom again. You know, it's just like some bugged out shit. And then I think for the 1,000 years, Israelites that are destroyed here will be sleeping, then they're going to wake and go to everlasting condemnation. What kind of madness? I mean, it's just, it's not sound.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's confusing. It doesn't make sense. It really makes the sheep all messed up. It discombobulates them in the mind. You know, this thing is really simple, but Jake likes to overcomplicate things to make it seem, you know, like they're this great individual of wisdom. You know, the Most High is dealing with them directly. They bypass Yahushua, and the Most High is dealing with them directly. You know, which is not the case.
They think they super deep, deeper than deep. And, you know, like with the case of the Genesis, you know, individuals, you know, they want to sound deeper than deep, because they have to show that they're, you know, their zombie followers, that they have more, you know, information outside of what they were taught by, you know, the apostles and the bishops of Great Millstone. They have to show that, you know, and that's another form of, as the Apostle Paul said, heaping disciples unto themselves. Because if you go and teach the same thing that we taught, then why should these people follow you, you know, when that's what we're teaching?
Yeah.
But if you're showing them something new, that's off, really that's off, you know, people are going to be intrigued. That's why it says that many shall be deceived by their pernicious ways, you know, or something along those lines in the book of 2 Peter. You know, so many are going to follow that. Why? Because most Israelites today are sheep. They're simple. They're zombies. They're not equipped with a thinking brain. They're not equipped with logic. They're not equipped, you know, with the ability to, you know, with the ability to analyze anything.
Yeah, they're set up just to follow.
That's
you
it.
know that you know that, and this is why you have to have a righteous shepherd.
Yep.
You know, a shepherd that's a pastor, a size mind. Sheep are very simple creatures that can be beguiled
Yep.
and led astray. You know, that's why the Lord, he set up shepherds to guide them. But you got rabid wolves in there. You know, you got hirelings in there that don't care about the sheep. You know, you can tell Jake really anything and they'll believe it, you know?
Yeah.
But what if you tell Jake the truth? Now, if the Most High has deemed them to be elect, they're going to receive that truth.
Yeah.
You know, but anybody else, they're set up to, you know, this truth to be a stumbling block unto them.
Yeah. And you know what proves you could tell Jake anything? The people that went down to Jonestown. You know what they call Jonestown. You know where this guy, what's your step? This guy Jim Jones, brought. Let me let this go by. Yeah, Jim Jones brought the Jakes and certain other individuals down to, I believe that was South America, and then when the CIA was coming up in there, he had them, mainly the black woman, so-called black woman, drink that, cyanide laced Kool-Aid. And what happened? They ended up dropping dead. So you could tell Jake anything, he'll follow you. All you gotta do is have a good story, a good cover story, and all kind of gimmicks, and they'll follow you.
You said Daniel
7 and 9.
Okay, yep. Daniel 7 and 9. I beheld the throne. Grown ass man. Daniel 7 and 9. I beheld.
He locked in though.
He tapped in. Daniel 7 and 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
So what the Lord showed Daniel was he showed him all the major kingdoms of the earth, including America, the lake of fire, Babylon the Great, and then he showed
not a river, Slakia, not a river of fire. He showed him America. Okay, Babylon the Great. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
These guys had to take the bag. I mean, nobody can really tell me anything different. That's just my personal opinion. They would have had to take the bag. And of course, the Most High is not dealing with the Spirit's not on them too, Yeah,
and then the Elder Kanak did say too that that's not a new teaching, because he found some info online. That whole, the lake of fire being that area there, wherever they said, Basra to Megiddo, that's an old teaching.
Yeah, Lord's will, I want to do a sit down on that. Lord's will, but yeah, that's not a new teaching. They didn't call all of a sudden, they had a revelation that both of them that agreed on. Yeah, I got this new information, right, and they went into, and they're so scholastic, they're such high level scholars. And they went in there and they just dug into the scriptures, and the Most High revealed it unto them. Oh no, it's not actually talking about Babylon. It's not talking about America. It's talking about this land over here from Basra to Megiddo.
Yeah.
See? And then you see the explanation, how they try to break it down the other day, and you could just tell he was just winging it. Yeah, it does look like a river, and the river flows. I know it looks like that, but and you're gonna deceive the simple. That's all.
Oh yeah. It says prophecy, to understanding what prophecy is a laborious, meticulous, laborious, wearisome of the mind. So we sat down and we broke it down. We done went to every nook and cranny. We researched everything possible. And now we get it to you. A bunch of goddamn vomit. Yep. But, the Lord showed Daniel all of the major kingdoms of the world, including America, the lake of fire, Babylon the Great. And then he showed them kingdoms being cast down. Okay, so go ahead. That's what we're reading. And read it again.
Yep, Daniel 7 and 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
The Ancient of Days is the Most High Yahweh. Go ahead.
Whose garment was white as snow.
So now the garment was snow. Gave the color of the garment. Go ahead.
And the hair of his head like the pure wool.
And the hair of his head like the pure wool. Didn't mention anything about color. Why did it mention wool? Because wool is kinky, like afro, like an afro. So when you look at a sheep and you look at so-called black man's hair or black woman's hair, or let me just say the black man's hair right now, it's woolly, It didn't mention anything about color. Now we know it to be white because the Most High is the Ancient of Days. But it said nothing about color. It was about the texture of the hair. So Daniel saw, the Most High, which he already knew the Most High was the so-called black man, sitting on his throne with a white garment on and a woolly afro, sitting there, bringing judgment. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
That's dealing with the chariots. Not talking about Pharaoh's chariots, not talking about regular horse and buggy chariots. It's talking about the vehicles of the heavens, which are the angels. All right. It's talking about these what Esau calls UFOs, UAPs. These highly intellectual, highly technological vehicles of the heavens.
Yep. Outer world vehicles.
Yep.
Verse 10. It says a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him.
Lasers.
Thousands ministered unto him,
The angels.
and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened.
Right. So that's like the white throne judgment in the book of Revelation chapter 20, which that person that sat on the throne is the Most High Yahweh. It's the white throne of judgment. That's Yahweh. Go ahead.
I beheld then because of the voice of which the horn spake.
Right. That great horn is America, because you had the beast, the fourth beast, which is the Roman Empire, had 10 horns, and out of those 10 horns came another little horn. That other little horn is dealing with America. And there's another point in here, Lord's will we get to it. I want to show you that that's talking about America and in the destruction of this place, because it goes into the persecution of the saints, which are the Israelites.
I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame.
Boom, that's the lake of fire. That's America. Because when you read Revelation 17, it tells you that America is going to be established and go into what? Into perdition. Because the whole reason for America to be established was for the Lord to allow these international bankers to set up, their agenda, push their agenda, get agenda going, get their agenda off the ground, and then bring them down. So America would be the very thing that the Lord would use to destroy, Esau. All right. So the same place that was set up, to let me get that bag, and let me get that.
I got this.
Okay. The same, place that the Lord had set up for Esau to, because America had been the big patsy. Even Anthony Hilder said that. And this is the place where they actually catapulted the so-called New World Order. This is why on the back of the dollar bill, you don't have the Great Seal. You don't have the Great Seal on the euro. On the euro, you don't have the Great Seal on any Japanese or Chinese money. The yen, the yuan. You don't have the American seal, the Great Seal, on the back of the Tanzanian shilling, or any of those other, the ruble. Where is it on? It's on the back of the American dollar bill. Why is that? Because America would be the place that they would establish to set up this New World Order. Because that's the very place that the Lord would set up for them to be destroyed. That's why it says when it comes up, it's going to go into perdition. We just read in Daniel 7 that this little horn is going to be burnt in the fire. And then in Jeremiah 51, it says that the Lord's going to make them a great burnt mountain.
It says, as concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away.
That's the other nations. Go ahead.
Yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time.
Why? Because the nations are not going to be totally annihilated like Esau. Esau, after 1,000 years, after 1,000 years, Esau is going to be gathered up, rounded up, every last one of them. There ain't going to be no, just walk away. I like walking against the traffic. Esau, men, women, and children are going to be rounded up after 1,000 years of hardcore slavery and burnt. There ain't going to be none of them that escape. There ain't going to be 5 Edomites that were good that are going to, be in the kingdom as honorary, Edomites. These are just great Edomites. One of them is Cornelius. One of them is, someone, remember the Syrophoenician woman? That's one. Fuck out of here. And Herod, remember, Apostle Paul told him that he almost persuaded me, you almost got me to be a Christian. So that's another honorary Edomite. Get the fuck out of here.
Verse 13, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven.
Right, so that's Yahweh coming, because that's the end. And these preterists say that already happened. So if that's the case, where's Yahweh's kingdom? Where it said that all eyes shall see him, right?
Yes, sir.
He coming with a cloud and all eyes shall see him. So when did all these things happen? And why isn't the world underneath the rule of Yahushai? You know, if you know what you're saying is true, that all of the prophecies have been fulfilled. See, these individuals that believe in this shit, they have a lot of holes in their doctrines.
Yep. It says, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days. And they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him.
And all peoples, nations, and language shall what? Serve him.
His dominion is an everlasting dominion.
Everlasting. Do you understand what everlasting means? Everlasting means everlasting. You know, in this context, it means for age after age after age after age after age.
It says,
right here.
Yeah, make a right and make a left.
What's going on?
Or we can just go down back on the
Okay.
walkway. Yep, it says, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom
What shall not what?
pass away.
You got to read that again. Read it from the dominion.
Yep, it says, his dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away.
His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away. So I don't know what Bible these reading where they say, I see we name names here. Bishop Nathaniel, where he said that after 1,000 years, Esau's going, he's gonna wiggle, he's gonna jiggle, he's gonna slide, he's gonna creep in the shadows, he's gonna be, conspiring. And you know what? This is the time. They're drunk. Look at them. They're drunk. Let's get them. And then Esau back in power again. What scripture are you guys reading? What fucking fantasy world are you guys from? And what the fuck is wrong with the rest of you? You are so-called you underling leaders underneath Bishop Nathaniel. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? You know, like Elder Paul Sarah said, where's your fucking backbone?
Yeah, the zombie commanders under General Nate. You know. They're all set up. They're all agents of confusion. They're all set up to, as stumbling blocks for you other Israelites that are, that the Most High don't want to destroy you.
Right. You mean to tell me that all you guys can meticulously go through the scriptures and find scriptures where you mean to tell me that all you guys can meticulously go through the scriptures and find scriptures where the word mark and sin are there and present that to the bishop? Look, mark and sin together. That proves that it's the mark of the beast. Out of here, man. You could do that, but you couldn't find that one in Daniel 7, that his dominion shall not pass away. Bishop, you're saying that Esau gonna get back in power, but here it says that the Lord's kingdom is not gonna pass away. We're gonna be in the Lord's kingdom. So how could that be? Now, one of you fucking guys question that.
You can't question the bishop.
No, nope.
It's one leader at the IUIC. He's a zombie top general commander, king. Yeah. And everybody else is the servants. Yep. And if you say anything against them, you're gonna get kicked out.
That's it. That's Blackula.
It's which shall not pass away.
He got you in a hypnotic spell. I got a spell on you because you're mine.
And his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
Yeah, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So in order for Gog to come back up, they say Gog and Magog. It's not Gog and Magog, it's Gog, the land of Magog. In order for them to come up, the kingdom has to be destroyed. Because in order for you to take one kingdom down, you have to destroy it. You have to just conquer the people. So when you conquer the people, that means they're destroyed. They become exiles again. That's not going to happen. The scriptures say affliction shall not rise up the second time.
You want me to continue in that?
No, that was pretty much it. So that was, where were you at? That was Daniel, right?
Yeah, Daniel 7.
All right, so go from there, and we may go back there. Go Daniel 2 and 44.
Okay.
There were some other precepts I had wrote down in my notes, but I think I remember one more. So go ahead.
Daniel 2 and 44. It says, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom.
So this is going into the same thing we're reading about in the book of Daniel 7. It's just using different symbolisms. So read it again.
God. Daniel 2 and 44. And in the days of these kings.
Meaning when all of them ruled and went through their whole, age of ruling. Go ahead.
shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed,
Right.
and the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
See, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It ain't going to be destroyed, and it's not going to be left to other people. You know, so, you know, what Bible are these guys reading? So you guys ain't run across that one either? You know? The one in Daniel 7 eluded you, and the one in Daniel 2 eluded you too? You know? It shows you that you guys are nothing but a bunch of ass lickers. You know? That's what you are. You know, you're all about, because that was a lot of that shit. This goes back to One West with you, Nathaniel. A lot of that shit goes back to One West. The ones that kissed ass, they were raised up, given, you know, little benefits. The ones that went against the grain, they wasn't given shit. They were looked at sideways. They were demonized. You know, they were false witnesses were bared upon them. They had everybody in there looking at them. You know.
What is that called? Being a sycophant.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
No, you're right. That's it.
A sycophant. We got a lot of sycophants out there, man, in this Israelite thing, you know?
That's it. You know, so if you kiss ass, you do good. If you don't, then you do bad.
Yeah, basically a sycophant is an ass kisser to gain favor and position, you know? Yep. Daniel 2:44. Are we in the days?
And what they don't understand is we didn't give a shit about no rank. You know, that shit don't mean nothing. You know when it means something? When Yahweh Shai comes down and put the crown on our heads and he said, okay, you're so-and-so and this is your position. That's when it means something. You know, other than that, it's just something that's set up for order till we get to the finish line.
That's right. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
There you go.
But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
Forever. What don't you understand about that? Matter of fact, can you do me a favor? Can you go back to Daniel 7 and go back to that word pass away, and let's see what Hebrew word they got there and see what they got for a definition there. And then after that, we could go to Psalms 45:1. That's the other scripture I remember. There was one, it was a couple more, but those are the main ones.
Pass away.
Pass away, yeah. I mean, if it's even highlighted, because it may not even be highlighted. When you go through the interlinear.
Okay, yep. All right, bear with me.
That's all right. Take your time.
Okay, shall pass away. It's
Ida. Id is time. Id is time, if I'm not mistaken. It's another way of saying time, because you have the word pa'im. Pa'im is time, but I think Id is like everlasting or forever or something like that. It's another way of saying it.
So yeah, the word Id, it says to pass on, pass away, pass on, pass over.
That's it.
To take away, remove, depose.
So then, when you, matter of fact, look up the word depose in the Common Dictionary. When you depose somebody, that means you're taking them they're taking them from their position. When Yahweh Shai comes back, he said, all knees are going to bow to him. He's put far above all dominions. All he's doing right now is waiting on the right side of the Most High till he makes his enemies his footstool. So you think after he makes his enemies his footstool, he's going to lose that position again? What the fuck is wrong with you guys, man? You know, you mean to tell me that for some fucking FRN, some shit that's being devalued every day, you're going to sell out? Did Moses sell out? Huh? Boy, can't wait for the Lord to really open up on you motherfuckers, boy.
Hey, these are these individuals that we were being warned about. You know, how certain individuals will come in not sparing the flock.
Beautiful.
You know, will teach wayward doctrines that will be reprobate concerning the faith. You know, that will teach for filthy lucre's sake.
Yep.
We're literally it's living proof that the Bible is real.
That's it.
Because these individuals are fulfilling that lot. You know, somebody has to fulfill that false prophet lot, that false teacher.
That's it.
You know, we just be thankful that it's not us. Lord's will, we continue in what we were taught and learned and who we learned it from.
That's it.
Okay, this is the word dispose. It says, removed from office suddenly and forcefully.
See, removed from office suddenly and forcefully. So they're gonna come in there. Yahushua gonna be sitting on his throne, enjoying his, Yayan, this magnificent Yayan that he has prepared, for the great celebration. Just sitting there on his throne, and the Edomites are gonna be, serving, and then they'll be nodding their head at each other, Now, and you're gonna take a knife and put it in the Lord's throat, right? And then bound him, Well, I mean, what fucking manner of spirit and demon jumped on you to say some stupid shit like that? And then, like the elder pastor keeps saying, what part of the dream are you in, Bishop Nathaniel? Where in the dream you said you lost the oil. So obviously you in the part that you lost the oil. You ain't get the oil back yet. And the Lord could just be setting you up to destroy the ones that he don't want. We're going this way or this way. The ones that he don't want, and then turn around and he could shake Bishop Nathaniel out of that confused state. He'd be like, oh shit. Just like he did with the Cornelius thing, just like he did with the Jacob's trouble thing, just like he's going to do with the MOTB thing, being a micro C hip.
Yep. Yeah, because if you are a man of the Lord, the Heavenly Father, he'll shake your ass up.
Oh, yeah.
To get you on his program. Look what he did with Paul, which was turned to Paul. He knocked him off his horse.
Yep.
So does Bishop Nathaniel does he need to get knocked off his horse?
Hey, Jonah, look what the Lord did to Jonah.
Yeah. Yep, that's pretty much it on that.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go back to what was the last precept?
Daniel 2.
Daniel 2. Okay, I'll go to Isaiah 45:1. Because this was one of the precepts that came up. It's actually a little further down, maybe around the 6th verse, but we're going to start from the 1st verse to show you that this is dealing with Yahushua.
This is Isaiah 45:1. Thus said the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand...
Not 40, I'm sorry, Psalms, not Isaiah. I always get Isaiah and Psalms mixed.
Got it. Psalms
45:1.
45:1.
You could skip past the...
Gone. It says, my heart is inditing a good matter. I speak of the things which I have made touching the king.
Yeah, because he whose song is this? David? King David's song? Does it say at the top?
It says a musician upon the sons of Korah.
Okay, sons of Korah.
Love, yeah.
So they actually saw Yahushua sitting on the thrones. That's why I said my heart is inditing, a great matter,
I speak of the things which I have made touching the king. My tongue is the
Who's the king? Yahushua. Underneath, the Most High, Yahweh. Go ahead.
My tongue is the pen of a ready writer.
Right. So just like Ezra, he spoke, and the scribes wrote down what he wrote. So he said, my tongue is a pen of a ready writer. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, thou art fairer than the children of men. Grace is poured into thy lips.
That's Yahushua.
Therefore, the Most High has blessed thee forever.
Woo! Forever. Not for a certain period of time, not for 1,000 years, then you're going to go back down. Sorry, son, but you got to suffer again. Yeah, I know it's written that affliction shall not raise a second time, but, I put my law over my name, remember. So you got to go back into captivity.
And that's a demonic doctrine, too. Like, who would want to teach that doctrine, and then who the fuck would want to follow something like that? That's off. We all this suffering we catching, and then we gonna be in the kingdom, be changed and all that, and then all of a sudden we gonna go back down again.
How the fuck these devils they gonna be in these raggedy ass bodies? We gonna be superhuman bodies. So imagine Yahushua's body. He said we're gonna be like his glorious body, but then all of a sudden these no good for nothing, weak ass Edomites are gonna take us back down? Are you out of your fucking mind, man?
Yeah, Rothschild, they're gonna come and they're gonna grab us up and put us back in captivity. That make sense.
Yeah, we've been collecting little clippings of gold. We're gonna get the world again. Come on, Mortimer.
Yeah, it says, gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty. And in thy majesty ride prosperously because of the truth. Yeah, because Yahushua is about to be set back up into power. He's going to be set on his throne. That's what he's waiting for. Here it is, he's been waiting on
Not. Then the Lord forgot to tell him that he gonna be taken down again after 1,000 years.
Well, the prophets were waiting for this time as well. It was the Acts, the first chapter. Said, "Will thou this time restore the kingdom to Israel?"
Yep.
But even going back to the seventh from Adam, Enoch, he prophesied of Yahushua coming with the mighty angels, destroying this present world. Okay, this present kingdom, Babylon the Great, and as well as taking down all the nations and setting up an everlasting kingdom. All right, but we supposed to, get taken down one more time, and then we gonna be then it's good,
One last time,
Yeah.
one last time, just because like the Lord said, Israel, trust in oppression. Says you trust in oppression, I'm gonna give you one more lashing. You gotta just endure this one last thing. Here it is, we've been catching hell. These guys love hell. Well, then again, hell ain't so bad when you got all kind of money.
Yeah, well, hell is not that bad when you're able to jump in something sick.
Woo!
It ain't that bad. Because you in a nice ass whip, that's like it put a spirit on you.
Yeah.
It's like that's a demon. You sit up a little higher.
Yep.
You might have ailments. You kind of don't even feel those ailments no more and shit.
Yep.
All the ladies looking at you.
Yep.
You pull up, everybody, oh, nice car. Everybody respects you. That's a demon.
Hey, thinking that gain is godliness because you got all them good things. See, reason why GMS are bums is because the Most High ain't dealing with them. He ain't dealing with them. He dealing with us. Look at my garage. Lifestyles of the rich and famous. MTV cribs. Come in here and see this sick living that I. Come on, man.
It says, in thy majesty ride prosperously because of the truth.
In thy majesty ride prosperously because of the truth.
And meekness and righteousness.
Let me know when you get to verse 6.
God. And thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things.
Right, because Yahushua is coming back to do what? War. He's coming back to wage a war on his enemies. And after that, there won't be any enemy to stand against Yahushua.
It says, thy arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee.
Right, because the missiles are going to destroy this place, the lasers from the chariots. The Lord is going to totally annihilate America, Babylon the Great, Basra, go ahead, the lake of fire.
Verse 6, thy throne, O power.
Oh, and that was another thing too, that I was asking the elder Kanak. I said, could you tell me what great civilization and activities and different earth-shaking events are taking place in the land of Edom and Basra today? And there's nothing going on over there. So why is the Most High going to set up a place like that for judgment and destruction? There ain't nothing going on. There ain't shit going there. Everything is here. All the wickedness and the sick, sipping of that abomination cup here in America. That's happening here.
Yeah, it seems like these guys want to stay here in Babylon forever, man. And teach their congregation to let down their guard. It says, thy throne, O power, this is verse 6, thy throne, O power, is forever and ever.
Thy throne, O power, Yahushai, is what?
Forever
what?
And ever.
Forever and ever.
The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter.
The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. So the Lord, when he sits on his throne, is never going to be taken down ever again. It's going to be an everlasting kingdom. All dominions have been put under him. All knees are going to bow to Yahushai. Yahushai, he's in his glorious body right now. So how the hell are you going to take a glorious, that's why he said when he comes back, he's not going to meet thee as a man. Because as a man, you were able to take him down because he allowed you to. Because he said, I was given power from my Father to lay down my life or to take it up again. You can't do shit to me unless it's ordained from the Lord. And the only reason why he did it was for us, to redeem us back to the Father. Because he was good, But he had to come and help redeem us so that we can be heirs with him in the kingdom of heaven. So he could share all of that, all what the Most High Yahweh gave him with us.
Dang. I think that y'all did on that? No, you want me to continue?
Read verse 7. Let me see what that
Okay,
says.
yeah. Verse 7, thou lovest righteousness and hateth wickedness. Therefore the Most High, thy power, has anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yep.
All thy garments smell of myrrh and aloes and cassia.
Okay, that's pretty much it. We could go this way. Okay, so
Traders, right?
yeah. So you got
I got a
anything?
precept.
Bring it
Yeah.
out.
Isaiah 45 and 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with the everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
Damn.
You know, that's, I mean, straight to the point. This salvation that's coming to the house of Israel, starting with the elect. This is going to be a world without end.
That's it.
You know, it's not going to be. It's going to be an uninterrupted rule. Okay, there's going to be no worry of another nation taking us down. It's going to be impossible. We're going to actually live forever. Okay.
That's it. Anything else? So with that, we pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. So the next time we say Shalom.
Wow.
51 minutes.